Elizabeth, and we can see a little bit of what's going on. The FBI, I can confirm, is now back at Nancy Guthrie's house. I saw several FBI vans arriving, evidence vans, and we've been able to see with the drone them going in and out of the house. And I also know that they were in the back of the house with what appeared to be some neighbors pointing around and showing them something in the backyard. But the whole thing is blocked off again, and once again a closed off crime scene. Back to the second note, though, I do have a little more information, Elizabeth. According to KOLD, they are saying that the IP address is not the same IP address as the initial note, but it appears the sender used the same type of secure server to hide their IP address. And this is important. The new note contains something the senders seem to think will prove to investigators they're the same people who sent the first note. So there appears to be a connection between the first note and the second note, and the FBI has confirmed that they are now investigating. The sheriff's office has confirmed that they're investigating, and the timing is interesting because right around the same time we heard about this new note is the same time that all the FBI showed back up here at the house that they moved us all out quickly, and you can see with the drone now, they're back investigating again at Nancy Guthrie's house. Elizabeth?
All right, Brian, thank you so much. Let us know if anything new develops. We'll come right back to you, but joining us in the meantime on this new message is the KOLD News Director, Jessica Bobula. Jessica, thanks so much for coming on. You've read this new message. First of all, did it provide any proof of life that the family's been asking for?
No, it did not.
Did it say anything at all about Nancy's condition?
I can't go into those details.
But clearly the FBI is now swarming Nancy's house, especially in the backyard area. Was there anything in this newest message that would direct FBI to go look or find something?
We're not releasing details of what is contained in the email out of respect for the family, other than what you saw in Mary's social post, which actually the reporter also mentioned as well about the IP address.
But the key is we just saw that video from Cameron Guthrie last night at this exact time. The night before that, we had the video from all three of the Guthrie siblings with Savannah, Annie, and Cameron, all asking repeatedly, urgently, for proof of life. And you're saying this newest email does not provide that?
This newest email is something that I believe the FBI will need to look into without any interference. And so what we did the first time that we received the note, which is immediately send it to investigators and not report on it. And when we were able to speak with the sheriff's office and they decided to put out a statement jointly with the FBI, then we were able to confirm that, yes, we did receive a second note.
When did you get that? What time was that?
That was about 11:45 this morning.
And apparently you've been saying, Mary Coleman, who was on the show last night, your anchor, your evening news anchor, said that it's from a different IP address than the first one, but it still appears to be from the same person?
Yes. So what we have done is shared the information that we have. So the notes were both sent through our news tip system. Mm-hmm. So it does not need to come from a personal email address. You fill out a form. So through what we are able to do, in our back end with our website and our technology that we have here, we're able to make sure that the FBI has as much information as we can provide about where the email came from. But it is not from, a certain email address. You just fill it out, you put your name in there, you put what your email address is, but it's not, it's not showing that it is coming from that email address. So the IP address information that we sent to them is, like I said, that it is not the same address, but it does seem to trace back to a similar cloaking software.
And it sounds the same in tone and tenor?
It's hard to tell. There's sentence structure, but we're also doing a lot of reporting of our own today about how with digital notes, this isn't a piece of paper with magazine letters cut out or anything. It's hard to tell, with things coming through digitally, is it assisted by AI? Is it, written by the same person? It's very difficult to tell.
And did this message have an email address on it?
Yes, our form does require that you put a name, an email address, and a birth date. And so both of the notes had that, but they were not the same as each other, the two notes.
So they were different. The name, email address, and birth dates were different on the two notes. Were they?
Right. Like I said, it's just a form, so you can just type it in. There's no way to verify that.
You can put in Roger Rabbit and yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is this commonly known that people can get messages to you this way, in a way in which they don't have to reveal their name, their email address?
It's a system that we use, and we've had it on our website for years. What I'll say is that it's usually not used in this way, right? I mean, usually people do want us to be able to contact them. Hey, I have a news tip for you. Please call me at this number or email me back at this address. And then we say, oh, okay, here, would you like to talk to us about your news tip? So it's not usually an issue, but yes, that is the case, is that you can fill out the form however you'd like. In fact, some people do send in anonymous news tips, and I couldn't tell you why, but that may be one of the reasons why our system works that way, so that a person could send in an anonymous news tip. But then, like I said, it depends upon if they leave a way that we can then contact them back, and in a normal situation, they would want us to. In this situation, clearly they don't.
If you have determined that the names are fake, what are the two names that were used in the two notes?
We're not sharing those details out of respect for the investigation and the family.
Male or female?
It's not. One of them isn't even a name.
Oh, interesting.
They just filled in the space. It wasn't just a first and last name. They just put words in the space.
Just put random words. The first note from the alleged kidnappers went to two Tucson TV stations as well as TMZ. Do you know if you're the only one to get the second note?
We were the only ones to receive the first one on Monday evening. I believe TMZ and the other TV station received it the next day. As far as we know today, we are the only ones to receive this email.
So perhaps, I don't know, do you know if the other Tucson television station uses a system similar to the one you use?
I don't know that answer.
Were there any other threats made against Nancy Guthrie or any other ultimatums issued in this note?
No, we are not calling this a ransom note. I'm not sure if that's why the FBI is not calling it a ransom note, but we are calling it a message because no further demands were made.
Did the message offer any way for the Guthrie family to communicate?
No.
Did this latest message offer any proof that they are, in fact, the kidnappers and not somebody like the man appearing in court today in Los Angeles, a random sicko who decides this is a great way to try and take advantage of people's grief?
I don't know about proof that they actually have her, but like your reporter was saying, the new note does contain something that it appears that the senders seem to think will prove to investigators that at least they're the same people who sent the first note. Though, like I said, it doesn't necessarily indicate that it is that it is the people who have her as opposed to a hoax.
And then finally, I know that I'm about to talk to somebody from TMZ who got the first note as well. That they had said that there was something in that message that made it seem to them that whoever is sending this is still in the Tucson area. Did you see something like that?
I would agree with that statement.
You would? Can you elaborate at all?
I cannot elaborate at all.
Okay. Jessica, I really appreciate you joining us tonight, with news director from KO.
And here now is Paul Moore, retired NYPD inspector, Fox News contributor. Paul, I want to play the video released by the Guthrie family again for those who may have missed it. Let's watch.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
What is your reaction to that latest video?
Yeah, You know, look, I'm just seeing it like everybody else. Just read it. So let's look at it very closely, the way Ted Williams did. I think where it gets most troubling is when you go near the end. So let me just tease it out similar to the way Ted just did. We received your message and we understand. That feels to me like there's something new. And one of the things we've all been talking about is, have they established a protocol to speak to each other? This sounds like they got something that is different from the note, the second note, that none of us were really sure was the same people originating in the same place as the first note that the authorities were taking seriously. Now, one of the points I've been making is that if the second note were from the same people, I think they would have included, once again, the crypto wallet. It's not definite, but that would have very much been a proof that it was the same people, because that's a long, unguessable number. And first of all, it goes to the fact that they want to be paid. So I would think it would have been in the second note, not definitive, but perhaps. This feels to me like it's something new. And therefore, I have to think that they did establish some way to talk to each other, one way or the other. That could be good news for the investigation, because you have something else to work on. Let's go on real quick. We beg you to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. Celebrate what? That feels to me like a euphemism, right? Celebrate her life, something like that. Also, return our mother to us. Let's look at not so much what's being said as what's not being said. If this note had said something like, okay, we're glad we've had a meeting of the minds, let's set up the exchange. Would it not have very, very different verbiage? Would it not have said something like, thank you for getting in touch with us, we're ready to move forward, waiting further instructions, things like that. In fact, I would argue there would be nothing public, right? Further, if there were a good protocol to talk to each other, she wouldn't be making a video.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's sending this out for them to hear this, right? And let me just close the loop. This is the only way we can have peace. To me, that is the most troubling line. Peace, not we can't wait to see her, this is great kind of thing. Peace, when do you talk about peace? You talk about peace when you're talking about closure, right? And then finally, this is very valuable to us. Well, of course your mother is valuable to you if she's alive. That, by negative inference, to say she's valuable, to have to say something is valuable, that tells me that it's something you might not normally think has value, and that goes to the idea that we want her, I'm just going to be frank here, man.
Yeah.
You're asking me, I'm telling you, her body.
Yeah. No,
Right?
and I think a part of that was the next line. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, the fact that they're saying, and we'll pay.
Exactly.
Well, we'll pay has been there all along.
Exactly.
And the fact that they'll say, so what are you doing now? You're saying, we're going to pay for something that maybe had less value than it had yesterday.
Yeah.
So just as an investigator, I'm telling you, piecing this thing apart, I hope I'm wrong. You know, I think that's clear, but I don't think it's a positive sign.
Paul, I just got one question for you. You alluded to this, that they're communicating back to whoever has her mother with an Instagram post as opposed to through some sort of channel that's established. I would imagine they're speaking with law enforcement and coordinating this with them. Would you say the same thing, basically, that law enforcement supports them putting this video out there this way?
100%. We all know that when they did the first initial response, that we saw law enforcement going in with a ring light. And in fact, you know, when I got that report, I was asked, what do you think? And my first blush was, okay, they're going in with a camera and lighting. Maybe they're going to film a search warrant here so that if they get some incriminating evidence or something, they can demonstrate how they got it. You do things like that. You film locations. But when I heard a ring light, well, we all know what a ring light is, right? That's what people use to make selfies, and, you know, they put the videos on TikTok and all of that. So when I heard that, I began to think, all right, social media, and that was, in fact, the FBI going there, and they did confirm that they were there when that first video was made. I don't know about the second one that Cameron made after the first deadline passed, but certainly the first one, they were there. And at the press conference, they pretty much confirmed that. So let me go yes on that, Joey.
And Paul, I guess we'll also remember here, that the next deadline that was previously established was to come on Monday at some point. I don't believe that there was a time period. But of course, today is Saturday, 1 week set that Nancy Guthrie has been missing. So 2 days out from that next deadline, does that help you understand? You walked through the possible interpretations of this last message. Does that add, any, to me, I feel like maybe that's some more optimism. It's before the last deadline that they're still communicating and offering, trying to set up some type of indication that they're willing to pay.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, certainly. And I could be wrong. It's just so cryptically worded. And you're not going to, if it looked like, okay, we got a message, we've had a proof of life, you're not going to be cryptic. Mm-hmm. It's going to be real direct. The only thing that she really says that is really sort of straightforward is we will pay. But that's been there all along, I would argue. So, I hope I'm not taking the wrong messages away from that, because we all hope that she's alive. But this feels to me like they got some new piece of information where almost as if they said something like an accident occurred. This didn't go the way we expected. Yeah. We know she had a heart condition, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. And like you say, we're before the deadline. So would they not be saying things like, before the deadline occurs? And I've heard disparate reporting on the deadline. My understanding is that the best sourcing from the authorities was that it was going to be 5 o'clock again on Monday, Arizona time. And that might be an inference, the Arizona time piece. But because we're before the deadline, it would have felt to me more like a negotiation than it does.
Wow. All right, Paul, thank you so much. Please stick around. We always appreciate your insight.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
For more now on these breaking developments in the search for Nancy Guthrie, let's bring in Chad Ayres, former armed robbery investigator and a former SWAT assistant leader. Chad, thank you for being here, first of all. And I know that you have some thoughts on the video which has brought us all together tonight, the breaking news here. So before we talk, I just want to play that video of Savannah Guthrie one more time for our viewers. Here's Savannah.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
So, Chad, what in particular strikes you about that Instagram published video message?
Well, Jonathan, if we compare it to all the other videos that we've seen so far, this is the first time that the whole family, all the siblings, are holding hands together. On the initial video with Savannah, her and Annie, you could kind of see they were holding hands, but the brother kind of stood to the side, then he gave his message. Today, they are all holding hands, and you actually can see several times during this message that Annie is actually grimacing. You actually see her close her eyes and almost, holding back the tears. I kind of agree with what Nicole Parker was saying earlier. I believe it was Nicole that said, personally, I don't think this is a good video. I think that they possibly got some bad information. And again, who knows? Listen, everything's still out there. Any outcome could happen, and we are certainly hoping for the best. But this video is completely different. Please bring her home. Please return her. Those keywords kind of keep it, and I'm no behavioral analysis or expert, anything, but just from a law enforcement perspective, that stuck out to me.
And Chad, the approach has been, we saw the first video from the Guthrie family, please give us proof of life. We saw the second video just from Cameron Guthrie saying, we need to hear from you, we need to see our mom. Tonight, very different. No request for a proof of life, simply a promise, we will pay and please return her to us. Is there anything we could or should read into that? And I do not want to characterize what the Guthrie family might be going through, what they might know here, but what it seemed a different tone, Chad.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I'm no expert on the behavioral aspect of this. I just see, like you said, like everyone else is seeing, it's a different tone. What was in the new letter that came today, or the message that was delivered to the family today? You know, questions that I have, and I think over the next, 24 hours, we are going to see if we see a change in law enforcement. Are they going somewhere else? Are they starting searching more of the desert area that they feel like there could be a grave or a body disposed of? Jonathan, no one's really reported, and I did want to ask you, what is it like on the outside of the neighborhood? Are there exterior searches being done? Are helicopters just maintaining around that main scene? Are they kind of out and about, kind of in that desert area?
Yeah, Chad, those are all very good points, and thank you for being with us. And to answer a couple of those questions for our viewers, we are not seeing around Tucson a lot of searching going on. We've seen some door knocking in Annie Guthrie, the other sister's neighborhood. We've seen, obviously, the activity at the Nancy Guthrie house. We know, because we have seen surveillance video, that FBI agents have turned up at a couple of gas stations looking at their surveillance video, for instance. But we have not seen, this is a huge area, obviously, around Tucson, huge desert area. We have not actually seen huge search teams out there. The significance of that, maybe, Chad, you have some thoughts on that. Is it significant that we are not at least aware of huge grid searches going on?
Yeah, I mean, it tells me that the Bureau and the local agency really believes that Nancy's still alive. Because I feel like if they felt like this was a search mission or a body recovery mission, we would have, BORTAC or local authorities, search and rescue, cadaver dogs, canvassing all around this area. So for that not to be taking place, that tells me that they still have hope. And whatever these messages are, and look, we are going to, at some point, the American people are going to pretty much know the details of these ransom notes, I believe. But that tells me that they are still holding on to hope, and the Bureau, seems to believe they are legit, that Nancy's still alive.
Chad Ayres, great to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling. Harvey Levin is back with us. Harvey, by the way, your coverage has been phenomenal. These are new details for a lot of people in the letter that they would. Harvey Levin is back with us. Harvey, by the way, your coverage has been phenomenal. These are new details for a lot of people in the letter that they would bring Nancy back to Tucson. They gave a time frame.
Let's check in with our true crime correspondent, Brianna Whitney, live for us in Tucson to walk us through what we are able to reveal about this latest note that came into the family.
Yeah, and it's been in the last hour that we've learned we can reveal a little bit more. Jared, you mentioned it. There is no proof of life in this new note, but there's also no additional ransom demand, and there's also no way for the kidnapper to communicate with the Guthrie family. There was no way for the Guthries to reach back out. So those are three new details we're able to report at this hour, but it is exceptionally concerning when you know that we are still searching for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. This is day 6 of searching for her. We know she has medical needs, and of course at this time, even if there are new alleged notes coming in, we still have no idea where Nancy is. I want to show you guys what the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI are saying tonight together about this new alleged note coming in. They wrote, quote, "The FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department are aware of a new message regarding Nancy Guthrie. Investigators are actively inspecting the new information provided in the message for its authenticity." And I can tell you guys, I got off the phone with the FBI not too long ago. We knew from yesterday's press conference that the Sheriff's Department has done a lot of the crime scene investigation itself, receiving leads and following up on those. The FBI can provide a lot of behind-the-scenes help. We knew they were going through Nancy Guthrie's cell phone. We knew that they were looking for location data and conducting interviews. But a huge part of what the FBI has been working on has been the alleged ransom note that came in several days ago. That was kind of their lead. They are now taking the lead on this note, this second note that has come in as well. Earlier today, our sister station KOLD, the ones who received this note, were here at the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Right before we got here, Sheriff Chris Nanos was out here earlier, and as they were getting in new information, they were able to ask him if he wanted to comment on it.
No, not at all. It's again given to the FBI. They've got this, and we'll let them go.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
So the sheriff not saying a whole lot about it tonight, except for that public statement the two of them put out. And when I talked to the public information officer, the media correspondent here at the Pima County Sheriff's Department, they said that sheriff's not doing any other interviews about it tonight, and they will only hold a press conference if there is breaking news to report. So it kind of remains to be seen what they consider breaking news. Are they going to be able to report more that is in this alleged second note coming from the kidnapper or abductors of Nancy Guthrie, or are they waiting for something else? We know they're investigating out at the house. I know our Vanessa Rice is going to get into that coming up here, but let's talk a little bit more about what we know in this note. We know it went to our sister station KOLD. It was this morning. We are choosing not to release other details out of respect for the family and as this investigation continues. Now, like I said earlier, the new note did not contain any new additional ransom demands or a way for the Guthrie family to communicate with the sender of it. We sent the IP address where the note came from to law enforcement, and we have to note, it is not the same IP address as that first ransom note that came in, but it appears the sender used the same type of secure server to hide their IP address. The new note also contains something the senders think will prove to investigators that they are the same people who sent the first note. So that's what we can at least reveal at this hour about that second note. Of course, a very precarious situation because the Sheriff's Department, the FBI, they want tips to come in. They want people to weigh in, to bring anything to their attention that could possibly aid in this investigation. But they also have to be extremely careful here because, one, they don't want information to get out that could compromise their investigation. Two, we have no idea if any of these notes are legitimate. They had not figured that out, and that's one thing that I think is very interesting tonight. The deadlines, there was two of them on that first note. One of them was last night, 5 p.m. That has already passed. But the second deadline the FBI had told us was on Monday. So it is an interesting timeline now that we've received a alleged new note on Friday in between the two deadlines from the first one. And this only complicates what the FBI is going to have to figure out on the legitimacy of all of these notes and whether they all come together potentially from the same sender. Outside here at the Pima County Sheriff's Department, Senator Mark Kelly was here as well, and he was able to also talk to media about this. You know, he calls Tucson home. He knows Savannah Guthrie personally. He's done many interviews with her, but he's also known her for many years, and he even commented earlier tonight that Savannah was reporting when Gabby Giffords, Mark's wife, was shot here in Tucson 15 years ago. And so there is a connection there between the two. And Senator Kelly explained to our cameras earlier tonight how he found out that Nancy Guthrie was missing.
Well, I first learned of it, before it was public. Savannah called me, because she knows I live here. And then I called the sheriff, and I called the Tucson police chief. So that was, that was mid-afternoon on Sunday. And Savannah was on the way to the airport to fly here. And obviously, rather upset. So I've been doing whatever I can do.
And obviously the detectives working on this case, working round the clock, quite literally 24/7 on this. Mark Kelly was also asked about the investigation itself. He says he has full confidence in the team that's working on it. Take a listen.
The sheriff's been doing a great job. I was in contact with him last Sunday about this. He has hundreds of his deputies investigating this case, working 24.
And I want to head back out to this. It's an update that we're getting from a breaking news story that we have been following for several days. It's a new...
You're watching a 13 News special report. The search for Nancy Guthrie
The scene that we're processing is at the residence of Mrs. Guthrie, and it's just there's some things there that are of concern to us.
A community on alert for a missing woman, the mother of a celebrity.
They've asked all of us to look through our yards, our neighborhoods, our brush.
We believe now, after we've processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime.
Evidence of an abduction with a demand for ransom.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her.
Local support in a national spotlight.
It's to show that we are still hopeful, and I do believe in the power of prayer.
A race against time in the search for Nancy Guthrie.
This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing.
Good evening, I'm Dan Maries.
And I'm Brooke Wagner. Welcome to a 13 News special report, the search for Nancy Guthrie. It has been 6 days now since someone abducted the 84-year-old mother of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie. The case has stunned the Tucson community and captured national attention.
Today, 13 News received a new message regarding Nancy Guthrie. And just like the ransom note we got on Monday, we immediately sent it to law enforcement. A statement released today from the Sheriff's Department after getting our note, it says in part, quote, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department are aware of a new message regarding Nancy Guthrie. Investigators are actually inspecting the information provided in the message for its authenticity.
The latest timeline from investigators suggests Nancy Guthrie was abducted early Sunday morning from her home in a Foothills neighborhood near Campbell Avenue, south of Skyline Drive.
And investigators have returned to the Guthrie home multiple times this week, including again this evening. Lab tests show blood splatters found on a porch at the home belonged to Nancy Guthrie. The Pima County Sheriff has said there are still no suspects at this time.
Let's take a look at the timeline investigators have been working from and that they've shared with us. Let's start at 5:32 on January 31st. This is when Nancy Guthrie goes to her local family member's home to have dinner and play some games. Then at 9:48, we're told the family dropped Guthrie off at her home. That's when the garage door opened. Then at 9:50 p.m., we could tell that the garage door closed. So we head on over to February 1st, the next day, very early in the morning, 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. Then at 2:12 a.m., that software from the camera detects a person on the camera. We do not have that footage. We're told that it cannot be retrieved because she didn't have a subscription to it. At 2:28 a.m., the pacemaker app for Nancy Guthrie shows a disconnection from her phone app. And then about 11 a.m., a friend calls the family because Nancy Guthrie did not show up for church. So then at 11:56 a.m., the family went to the home to check on Guthrie. And then about 7 minutes later at 12:03 p.m., they called 911. And then they called on to PCSD from there. At 12:15, the patrol arrived at Nancy Guthrie's home.
The 13 News reporter Catherine Patterson joining us live near Guthrie's home in the Catalina Foothills, where investigators return this evening to continue their work. Catherine, is the scene still active?
Yeah, hey, Dan, if you've been following our coverage on this over the past few days, you'll notice that the scene behind me looks very different than what you may be used to. And that's because for the first time since this investigation started, news crews have been pushed out away from Nancy Guthrie's residence. Deputies told me that it's because they want the family to have some space right now. The only people that are being let in right now are residents that live in the homes that are blocked off by deputies right now. But we did get a bird's eye view of the scene that you can take a look at now. We heard reports of police officers or law enforcement putting markers down, evidence markers on the property, and even law enforcement getting on the roof of the Guthrie home. But the new limits for crews out here has made it even more difficult to know what investigators are doing right now. We received a tip from one of the neighbors around here that FBI agents and deputies would be returning to the area to search through homes, and that's exactly what we've been seeing from beyond the barricade. The Catalina Foothills neighborhood Neighborhood Association let those residents know that the searches would primarily be in the areas west of Campbell. The Neighborhood Association was reminding neighbors that even on the 5th day of this investigation to share any security camera footage that they may have around the area. But we will be staying on scene and keeping you guys updated both on air and online for any additional information that we may get. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you for your work on that, Catherine. And 13 News reporter Renee Romo has been covering the search for Nancy Guthrie from the beginning. She joins us live from Pima County Sheriff's Department headquarters in Tucson.
And we mentioned earlier that investigators are looking at a new message in the Nancy Guthrie case, one we received at 13 News. What are they saying down there?
That's right, Dan. Today at approximately 11:45 a.m., 13 News received a new message via our news tips email portal that could be connected to the Guthrie case. Now, as you mentioned, we forwarded that email to law enforcement, and the FBI has announced they are now investigating it. Now, I had the chance to ask Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos about this latest development. Take a look. We obviously just got a statement joined from PCSD and the FBI about this most recent tip that we received via email. Do you have anything to say on that?
No, not at all. It's again given to the FBI. They've got this, and we'll let them go.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Now, we are not releasing specific details out of respect for the family, but we can say we sent the IP address where the note came from to law enforcement. It is not the same IP address, but it appears the sender used the same type of secure server to hide their IP address. The new note contains something the senders seem to think will prove to investigators they're the same people who sent the first note. This is now the second alleged communication related to the Guthrie case that 13 News has received via our news tips portal.
Renee, just an unimaginable week for the Guthrie family. Difficult one for her community, for the Tucson community. What have you been seeing as you've been covering this story?
Well, Brooke, whether we were here at the Pima County Sheriff's Department or outside of Nancy Guthrie's home, of course, as you mentioned, we have seen national attention here, and the amount of media from all across the country, all across the world, have come here for this disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. But at the same time, as you mentioned, the community, I was able to attend a Wednesday night candlelight service in honor of her to send the prayers, because that is what the family has asked for, and that is what the community did. Over 500 people were estimated to come out, whether they knew Nancy Guthrie or the Guthrie family at all. They wanted to be sure to show their support and send their prayers up and stay hopeful that one day Nancy Guthrie will come home.
But most importantly, we want to support the Guthrie family and do whatever we can to find Miss Guthrie.
88 Crime has played a role in this case since the beginning.
Mary Coleman has been looking into their efforts and the investigative tips they've been able to collect so far. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Brooke and Dan. Yeah, well, you've heard us tell you about 88 Crime almost daily, and now it's being really put to the test with Nancy Guthrie's abduction. It has helped solve so many other crimes with the hope it can do the same in this case. We have been in constant contact with 88 Crime. That's the group responsible for receiving tips in our community, and the draw is that people can submit those tips anonymously. And they have been inundated with tips following the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. I spoke with the chief of detectives who runs 88 Crime, and he tells me they'd already been receiving hundreds of tips. But after yesterday's press conference with Sheriff Nanos and the FBI, the number spiked, setting a record.
National and even international levels has grabbed a lot of attention.
Fabian Pacheco is no stranger to being thrust into the national spotlight, having handled many high-profile cases over the years in southern Arizona during his time with Tucson Police and the Pima County Attorney's Office. And this week has been a busy one for 88 Crime as tips pour in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Since the announcement of her disappearance, 88 Crime has surpassed 500 tips, the most they've seen for one case in the history of the program.
We work closely with all our surrounding law enforcement agencies and provide them with the tips as they come in. It's absolutely critical, especially in this case, that those tips get to those investigators, those detectives that have been working tirelessly on this case.
The draw to 88 Crime for many is the promise of anonymity, something that has taken center stage in this case with the anonymous ransom note sent out and another anonymous message sent today.
We always worry and have to be cautious in these types of very high-profile cases that it doesn't get sidetracked through other reasons, whether legitimate or not. We want folks that are still out in the community, even if it's here in Pima County or maybe across the country, they may have some information that could help detectives point them in the right direction that they need to go to work on this case.
At the end of the day, the mission is the same: finding Nancy.
It is times like this that really we appreciate the value of what 88 Crime represents and what all the people that support 88 Crime do. And I know there's some folks that might have some information out there they feel, well, I don't want to bother them with this tidbit. It's probably nothing or this and that. Well, no, we need to continue to receive those tips because we don't know. That could be the break in the case.
If you have any information on this case, please reach out to 88 Crime or the FBI. Both agencies are gathering as many pieces of information that they can. We want to continue to remind you the Pima County Sheriff's Department is asking for any and all information you might have on Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. If you have photos or video evidence, you can use the QR code on your screen right here to submit it. You can also call PCSD with your tips. That number is on your screen. It is 520-351-4900. We have all of this information up on our website, KOLD.com.
Thank you, Mary. As Renee mentioned, 13 News was one of the media outlets to receive the ransom message now being treated seriously by investigators. We received it and sent it to law enforcement immediately on Monday night. Then on Tuesday, other news outlets received a note now confirmed to be the same one. The FBI disclosed some, but not all of its contents. Here's a portion of the email. The FBI confirmed that it said the first deadline given was before 5 p.m. on Thursday the 5th. That was yesterday. The FBI also confirmed that if that deadline was not reached, a second was given. The message we received referred to a deadline on Monday the 9th at 5 p.m. The note also references details that were not made public at the time, like Nancy's white smartwatch. The FBI also confirmed that the ransom note refers to a white floodlight in the backyard of the Guthrie home. Investigators still have not named a person or interest of suspect in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The FBI also says there has been no proof of life and no confirmed follow-up communication, despite videos posted by the Guthrie family asking the abductor or abductors to contact them.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us.
More breaking news tonight. Savannah Guthrie pleading for her mother's safe return nearly 1 week after she was last seen. The Today Show co-anchor and her siblings spoke directly to Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper. And breaking just within the last hour, deputies were seen leaving the home of Savannah's sister, Annie Guthrie. Video shows investigators carrying out boxes. No word on why they were there, but at least 3 deputies spent several hours inside the home before leaving. This all happens as investigators look into a new note about Nancy sent to a local television station in Arizona. I'm Liz Nagy. Jory Rand is off tonight. The family says they will pay for their 84-year-old mother's safe return. Eyewitness News reporter Carly Gomez is live following the very latest developments tonight. Carly?
Yeah, good evening, Liz. In a new Instagram post, Savannah Guthrie and her siblings are addressing a new message sent to a local television station in Tucson. The details of that message are unclear, but they say they are willing to pay for the safe return of their 84-year-old mother.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her.
It's now been 1 week since Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her home in Tucson. Since then, investigators have been retracing their steps, towing a car, inspecting cameras, and going door to door in the neighborhood. The first ransom note created deadlines with consequences if not met. The first deadline was Thursday. Savannah's brother Cameron asking to communicate with the kidnappers.
Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you.
After that plea, another note was received by a local news station. KOLD said it contains something the senders seem to think will prove to investigators they're the same people who sent the first note. The one that mentioned Nancy Guthrie's Apple Watch and possible damage at her home. They demanded Bitcoin and included 2 deadlines.
If the ransom note talks about specific things in the house, like things broken, things moved, cameras removed or smashed, whatever it might be, if that's the case, they're going to go back and double check they've got to see if it matches what the bad guys are telling them.
Investigators are looking into a vehicle of interest after receiving a tip. A Tucson Circle K told ABC News law enforcement reviewed their video surveillance at one of their stores. The 84-year-old Guthrie relies on a pacemaker and medication to survive. The Guthries are begging for their mother's return as the second ransom deadline is in just 2 days.
Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again.
Now, the investigation is expanding to neighboring cities. Now, billboards are being put up now in Phoenix, El Paso, and here in Los Angeles. Reporting live, Carly Gomez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Carly, thank you. Let's take a look now at the timeline of this case. Nancy Guthrie was last seen near her home